Hi, and welcome back to Community Hotline. I'm Monica Weitzel. We're here at Metro East Community Media in Gresham. And now today for our last guest, we have with us Ride Connection. Ride Connection has been with us before, but we have a new program we want to tell you about. The Transportation Coordinator, Leslie Garth, is here with us again. Thank you, Leslie, for being here again.
Good day.
Always good to see you. You know, when I'm not running into you at some volunteer event or seeing you on the streets as we pass each other while we're 2 blocks away from each other.
Right.
It's good to have you here. So for those who don't know, well, excuse me, before I forget, I'm sorry. And our other guest is Chuck Michelle, who's a volunteer driver with the new program we're going to talk about. And so we'll get back to you, Chuck. Leslie, tell me a little bit about Ride Connection, and for those who may not know about it and exactly what it is you do.
Okay, what we do is provide transportation to seniors and people with disabilities to appointments. Appointments can range from doctor's appointments, visiting their spouse in a nursing home, grocery shopping, getting their hair done, recreational trips we do. We also work in partnerships with some of the couple of local churches that borrow our vehicles so people seniors and people with disability can go to church on Sundays. Oh, okay. So our goal is to get people mobile and in the community and active.
Keep those people from being housebound and
Absolutely.
shut in. And you use a lot of volunteers.
Yes, we are actually volunteer heavy, I'd like to call it, because we do have 3 part-time drivers. And when I say part-time, I mean literally part-time. And we have about, I want to say about 9 active volunteers for Ride Connection program in East County. And then when we talk about this program, Veterans Program, we actually have about 5 volunteers currently that's helping assist with that program. Okay, now before we talk to Chuck, who is a volunteer with this new program, this new program is called Veterans Program. Yeah, we call it.
Simple name. I like that. Easy to remember. What instigated this? Why did this start?
Okay, well, what we call it is the Multnomah County Veterans Program. I personally like to call it the Heroes Helping Heroes. Chuck has a different name, but everybody, you know, to me, it's veterans helping veterans.
So it's veterans who are driving, who are volunteering, and driving other veterans?
Yes. What occurs is that we have volunteer drivers who are actually, you know, retired from the military. Some different branches, and what they do is volunteer their time to take other veterans or their spouse to appointments. Oh, okay. So this is something that has occurred in Washington County, and it's been up and running, I want to say a good 6 months, and then we've actually got this program started actually last month. I think it was the first, I think, and Chuck was, Chuck was actually our first volunteer to successfully go through the program, and he actually was the first volunteer to do the first trip for the Veterans Program. So, I'm excited.
First up.
Why are you involved in this program? What's your incentive to do this?
I was thinking at the time, call it a couple of months ago, about some type of volunteering and so forth, and I was thinking of the Veterans Administration.
And you're a veteran yourself?
I am a veteran of the Army, and although not retired from the Army, but you know, I served my time. I thought about the Veterans Hospital or something to do with the veterans. My reluctance there was I drove to Swan Island from Troutdale for 30 years, and I wasn't real excited about making that drive again. Commute again. Yeah. Okay, on a regular.
It'd be nice to stay out on this
on a regular
this
basis. Although you know, I had still that was still in the back of my mind. Saw an article in the Gresham Outlook about this Drive a Hero program, as they call it.
Drive a Hero program.
It's what they call it. You know, I think that's where I came up with that, but. I thought, you know, that could be right up my alley. Yeah. And so I called their office, talked to Trink yesterday, and the rest is history, as they say. I think that, you know, the basic motivation, if you will, is payback. My wife and I, my family as such, have been very fortunate, and we have the time to do that now that we're both retired and everything. So it just, I haven't been involved really in much volunteering, or, you know, I'm not a compulsive volunteer person.
You're not a lifetime
or
volunteer
like
person like some people.
Although my mother, Elaine Thompson, who lives in Prineville, she was the Crook County Citizen of the Year because
Really?
of her volunteering. And so there may be a
down,
genome in my DNA there someplace. And my brother, Denny, lives in Roseburg, and he volunteers at the Vets Hospital down there.
Yeah. See, I think it's really important for parents to model that for their kids, that volunteering is important because it does trickle down.
Well,
it does,
you know, and it's not anything that certainly that she forced me into, but I saw how rewarding it was, and how well it made her feel and everything. So
it does.
So I think that was, like I say, you know, may be in the DNA or something, but I wanted to do something just because I could.
So how is it working out? How does it make you feel when you're
very rewarding?
Is it?
Very rewarding.
Give me an example of something that you've been able to do in this short time that you've been involved in the program.
Well, one of my first runs was to the Vets Hospital.
Yeah, I was thinking. I bet you a lot of the appointments are.
It is,
or a lot of the
in this
trips
program.
the
Yes,
in this one.
they're not 100% there, but this program as such. Just, you know, we're going to go to the Vets Hospital from East County. These people need the rides and so forth.
That's a kind of a long ride from East County too.
One of the runs I had, I took a gentleman to the Vets Hospital and had a pickup, and we do a lot of dropping off, picking up. Maybe we'll wait for somebody, but if it's a long time, and this comes into Leslie's area, there
handle it,
she has to do all the hard work. All we have to do is show up, and it's quite a coordination problem. But the fellow that I was supposed to pick up, and we drop off at the Vets Hospital, and we pick up at the Vets Hospital. That's the instructions they're giving when we're going to that area. Well, this gentleman had a procedure that had to be done at OHSU. Oh, and so
which is right up there, but it's not at the
VA. And they're instructed once they finish their procedures, they are to go back to the Vets Hospital because that's our destination. And of course, if it's tight coordination, it's almost necessary to do that. But at the same time, I had a little bit of extra time, and so I checked, and there's quite a administrative process up there. A lot of people going through, and even physically to find where you're going is very difficult. But I had a little bit of extra time, so I started checking through the process, and I found his name. And of course, the first thing they ask you for up there is, well, what's the last 4 digits of his Social Security number?
Which you wouldn't know, of course.
I don't know, but I flashed my badge.
Your Ride Connection badge.
Which is about like a business card. But I said, well, I'm a volunteer driver, and I would like to go pick him up at his location at OHSU.
So he didn't have to go back to the VA.
It was a fairly complex procedure that he was going through.
But good for you for doing that, taking a little extra.
So that's part of the rewarding part. I was able to not only volunteer to do this, but to kind of take that extra step.
Yeah. So what all is involved? What kind of a commitment do you need to make to be a volunteer driver for Ride Connection?
As much or as little as you want time-wise. Okay. As far as the training, I'll let Leslie talk a little bit more
training
about that.
Is usually the same for any driver, which is we do a DMV background check. We do a criminal background check. Once that clears, we do a vehicle orientation. We do a road test. And then they're required to take 2 in-class trainings for 4 hours each. And, you know, Chuck is kind of unique because he has...
Thank you.
You know, is that he's able to drive one of our company vehicles, buses, and he can drive his own personal vehicle. Oh, okay. We do have a kind of combination of the volunteers that we do have for this program that do both, and then others who prefer to just drive their own vehicles, which is actually what we're leaning towards because we don't have a lot of vehicles in our fleet. If you want to
take more people, more places.
Right. So we have people scattered all over Multnomah County, and if we can have someone that lives close to someone in Northeast area to take them up to the VA, then that's what we like to do instead of having someone come out to Gresham or finding another location to find another vehicle.
Logistically, that makes sense.
Yes. So, so this is kind of unique. We also, I had to toot our horns on this one because East County had their first stand down. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. And what occurs, maybe you can...
Stand down is a military term when your mission is completed and you disband. They do this in Salem a lot with our Guard units that have been over, you know, Iraq, Afghanistan. And a stand band, it just means the final, you know, everybody says goodbye and you, you furl the flag and go. Well, we're using this, the Vets Administration sponsors these stand downs for veterans needy veterans, basically. Not just needy, but the people that have, you know, we can help them with paperwork. They have all kinds of booths set up, and there are vouchers for dentists. They get free haircuts there.
Yes.
It's just a.
Okay, so I'm unclear on this.
So
how does this play into Ride Connection?
Well, what happened was we had our first stand down in East County, which was great because they usually have them in Portland. They're usually accessible.
It's like an event?
It's an event. And what occurs is that they bring in people, vendors, and they work with the military to bring in clothing. We had blankets, they had shoes, they had people come in and do haircuts, they had people assist with we had transportation was dealt with. We had also, there was employment information. So just kind of a gamut of things for just all services for veterans who may not know that's there. So and they can also get clothing, and they got fed.
Nice. And where was it? Where was this?
This was at the chapel in Troutdale. And what we did was provide transportation from all the city halls in the Gresham Transit Center, but Chuck, we did a special run, and we call it the Run to the Mountains.
The Run to the Mountains.
And literally, that's what he did. He went to the mountains.
Like Sandy zigzag up there, or what?
Yeah. Well, it was scheduled to start at government camp.
Wow.
But as you know, and they needed to sign up for this, so we had some kind of idea. And there were a number of no-shows, but bottom line is, you know, we got what we wanted, and there will be more as this thing progresses. Right. Same as with the Drive a Hero program. And that's why we're here. You know, the more publicity we get, the more requests there are going to be, and at the same time, we're doing okay now, but as we get more people, we're going to need more drivers.
So how many drivers are in the program now for
currently,
the veteran?
5.
For the veterans part.
Oh.
Yes. So which is good.
That's a pretty good start.
It's a good start, and I have to admit that the drivers that we do have are very passionate about helping other veterans. They do definitely go the extra yard. It's definitely a personalized service.
Yeah. Well, they have some personal investment in it.
Yes.
You're giving back to those who have given so much already, and you've done the same.
And I wear my generally when I'm picking up veterans, I wear my U.S. Army veteran hat. And there are different styles around, and I had one gentleman that, and in all good nature, he said, well, I can't go with you. And I says, well, why not? And he says, I'm Navy.
Yeah.
And like I say, it was
send me a Navy guy.
It was all in good humor.
Yeah, that's great.
We have a good time, but that's part of the, you know, the give and take and part of the camaraderie that the veterans have, that the military has.
It's almost like a brotherhood, isn't it?
It is, and that's part of what gets me into it. My father was in France in World War I. My brother Denny, who I mentioned, he was in Korea. I have uncles that served in Europe. My father-in-law was on a ship in the South Pacific.
What about you?
I was Vietnam era, not in country. I make that distinction. It's not fair to the ones that were over there, but I'm proud of my service.
Yeah, and you should be, and we thank you for it.
But I do make that distinction, and that's where I came from. So there's a military history in my family, but probably that's what directed me to the veterans service, as it will, and it's a great program. I'm enjoying it. It's rewarding.
Good.
It's rewarding. A little bit. I mean, you see some very sad stories.
I bet you do.
Forth,
I bet you do.
Like the stand down.
We
ended up starting in rhododendron and working our way in here, but I was. It almost makes the hair stand up on your arms to see what they did for them. I mean, the clothes that were given out, the food that was provided, the help, the vouchers. One gentleman, he was probably the most needy case, but he had applied for a non-service connected disability and just kept getting turned down. There was a man there that helped him fill out the forms, and it was very encouraging. And I just, like I said, goosebumps just talking about it.
It
but that's the rewarding part of it. You know, when you look beyond the depressing part of it.
I'm sure it is rewarding. And we're just about out of time, Chuck and Leslie, but tell me, if somebody wants to be a volunteer to drive, or if they need help, they just need to contact Ride Connection. Is that correct?
Yes, we have a couple different numbers that will appear at the end.
Okay, and Chuck, if somebody is interested in doing this, and maybe they have their own car, but they can't afford to pay for the gas, will Ride Connection reimburse you for that?
Ride Connection reimburses for cars, and I do both.
Okay.
I'm more than happy to use my vehicle. I was telling Leslie I have an SUV, and fortunately, I just came off of a run, and fortunately, I bought a little step stool for my SUV.
Oh, good.
Because they have difficult, and these
Yeah.
people are, not in the best of health, obviously, or they wouldn't need this type of help. But yes, use your own vehicle. You're reimbursed for the gas liberally.
Wonderful.
You're not going to get rich off of it.
Yeah.
But I do both, and my vet's hospital runs, I like to take a Ride Connection rig because of the parking up there.
Yeah, there you go. And we are totally out of time. So thank you both so much for being on here. You're doing a wonderful service. And Leslie, it's always a pleasure to see you. So thank you both so much.
Thank you very much.
If you want more information on Ride Connection, the Veterans Program, look at our screen. We'll have the information there. Don't forget, we're on Facebook, Community Hotline. Be sure to like us there. And this is Monica Weitzel, and enjoyed having you join us today. We will see you next week. Remember, you can take part in the discussion online. Visit our blog and tell us about your experiences at communityhotline.wordpress.com. And don't forget to take a look at our Facebook page, too. You can see what's going on behind the scenes, find out about fun contests we're running, and link to some of the great organizations that have been on at facebook.com/communityhotline Metro East. See you online.